Hello and welcome to You're as Old as Your Knees. I'm Lizzie Lasater, and I have the great privilege of introducing you to our teacher today, Mary Richards. Hi, Mary.
Hi, Lizzie. Hi, everyone.
Oh, I love that smile. That is how excited Mary is to talk to you about the anatomy of your knees. Okay?
Yeah. Just like about, like, even more than the anatomy, it's about our relationship and perception relating to our knees because we're
Yeah,
hard on them. We're hard on them physically, and we're also hard on them emotionally.
yeah, yeah. Okay, who just right off the bat, find your way to the chat. Who identifies with that? That you have, in a single word, what is your current relationship with your knees? Positive, negative, sore, says Jillian. They hurt, stressed, creaky, good, frustrated. I am super like afraid of my knees because I ski a lot and I'm always like, I think my knees are going to let me down, like I need to protect them. Damaged, cautious, unbelievable, weak knees, good, cautious, tight. What does BBF mean? Wait, BBF. I don't know. BBF, scared, tricky, sore sometimes. Okay. We are in the room now with 437 yogis from around the world. We would love to see where in the world you're joining from. Where are you zooming in from today? I'm in Salzburg, Austria, and Mary is in Northern Virginia. Austin, Portugal, Michigan, Montreal, Sussex. Amazing. Sandra, I see your hand, but I can't help you. Sarah Jane is here with us in the background working her magic. She's in the chat and can potentially help anyone. If you have an audio issue, often it helps to leave the meeting and come back. So let me tell you our plan for today. We have 90 spacious minutes together. And I have a brief introduction that I will show you a few pages of a PDF, and then it's going to be a sandwich. Then we will have the tofu of our sandwich today will be Mary's class about the knees that I'm looking forward to. She has made for us, by the way, an amazing PDF, and I'll let you know how you can get that. You can have it, download it, print it out of today's series. We're actually going to be on our mats moving, right, Mary?
Yes, we are going to be on our mats. So today's class together is one of application and experience.
Okay, and before I switch to my intro, what is important about experiencing your knees? What difference does that make?
I really want us to get a felt sense of our knees, of how they feel in neutral, how they feel in different aspects of their motion, and to move away from the intellectual ideas and judgments, the adjectives that we layer onto our knees, which may not actually accurately reflect how they feel.
Yeah. Okay, and who is this class for, Mary? Who are we serving today?
Do you have knees? Okay. See, because remember, the title of today's class is You're as Old as Your Knees. And knees are a site of wear and tear for a lot of us because they're not a stable joint. So let's take, I know Lizzie, I'm a real pain for Lizzie. She's constantly trying to keep me on a leash, but if I could just give us an anatomy lesson for the moment. Sacroiliac joints, your SI joints are joints of stability. Lots of bony contact between the sacrum and the ilium, the hip bone. Okay. Your knees aren't like that. Your patella is a great idea. The kneecap is a great idea. Without it, we wouldn't be able to walk, which is why, of course, babies can't walk. Uh, but
Ooh,
because,
ooh, ooh, ooh. Slow down. That was a really interesting point. If you remember when your kids were born, if you have kids or your nieces and nephews, they don't at first have a kneecap.
correct.
And That's why crawling is not painful for them, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because the patella, the kneecap, grows out of quadriceps tendons in response to gravity. And so you can't rush a kid into walking. They have to actually grow the bone. They also have to grow little bones, sesame seed bones in their big toes as well to allow them to push off. So, knees, they just they're not stable, right? Especially when they're bent. And that creates opportunities for risk and injury to arise. And so, how do we reduce our risk and prevent injury or recover from injury? Is we really, in my opinion, need to get into the functional basics so that we get a sense of the knee not as a so-called hinge joint. Okay, because it's
Okay,
more.
who has heard that idea or that myth? I heard that in my yoga teacher training, my first 200 hour, that the knee is a hinge joint. Who has heard that? Give a yes in the chat if that's you. Um, who did I see? Someone just said that this thing, Susan, Susan Top. Hi, Susan. She said that that was a Mary Jim, the thing about babies' kneecaps. I
Yeah,
agree.
that's your homework. Go find a baby, a baby under 6 months of age.
Ask for consent.
Ask for consent, and may I touch the area of your baby's knees? You will not find kneecaps.
Yeah,
You won't find them because
amazing.
they're not there. And so we have this idea that the knee functions like the elbow. And in fact, the knee and the elbow are often taught together in anatomy courses. If you've ever had, an actual accredited anatomy course. But that is such an oversimplification because your knees are actually a modified hinge because they do rotate.
Okay. And that's what makes them so unstable, I'm guessing.
Yeah, the instability comes because if you think about it, you've got two bones coming together, the thigh bone and the shin bone, and you're walking around on them. What keeps those bones together so that you're not walking around on broken sticks? Your kneecap.
Mm.
And in order for us to bend and straighten our knees, for instance, we have to rotate. There's a component of rotation. That's what allows you to bend and straighten your knee. Is this component of rotation, something called the screw home mechanism, which we talk a lot about in experiential anatomy.
Yeah.
And we underestimate that. And when we simplify things, when we think of things in these black and white terms, we miss so much. We miss so much in terms of our somatosensory perception, processing, and planning. And that in turn affects our coordination, how organized we are in movement.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what I love studying with you and Mama Mary is that the experiential quality. We're not just going to learn anatomy today conceptually, but we're going to feel it in our bodies. Anything you need to say before I give our short introduction?
No, I'm going to stop talking about anatomy now because once I get started, it's hard for me to back off of that because I really do want us to move on to the mat.
Okay, great. And last question, what should people have nearby in terms of props, etc.?
This is simple today. So you need a sticky mat. You may want to be close to a wall or have a chair nearby, especially if you're concerned about your balance. And I'd like you to have, let's say one or two blankets, maybe a bolster nearby. And that's for padding. So have a little optimism about that. I'm talking about padding. Now you're going to earn it.
You're always going to earn it with Mary. So I also want to reassure you, in case you're joining from your office or you're out for a walk with us or you're in your car commuting, whatever, there will definitely be a lot of takeaways, even if you can't get on your mat. Please stay with us, even if you won't be able to practice. And I saw a few questions in the chat about the PDF and the recording. I will share both of those via our newsletter. Most of you, I'm guessing, are subscribed to the newsletter. Let me share my screen and walk you through my brief introduction. And there's a link in here to let you know how to get the recording and the PDF. So, officially welcome to You're as Old as Your Knees. This is our free class that is celebrating the launch of our flagship course, which starts on Thursday. This course is all about learning what happens when you feel anatomy, you don't just memorize it, which is what I think many of us did for years. So, who remembers our course, Experiential Anatomy? We made it in 2017. Give a yes in the chat if you have taken that course. We ran it a couple times, those starting in 2017. Yes, 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 yes. Okay. And tell us one thing, if you would, that you loved about that course. That course totally changed my life in terms of being a teacher. For me, the number one word I think of in taking that course as student number one is confidence. Like the more I learn about the way the body works, the more confident I am when I teach others and when I go to like any movement modality. I can go take a random Pilates class and I have so much confidence and stability that I'm going to stay safe. And that like is huge value for me. Yes, confidence. Yes, loved everything. Connection. It changed my teaching, says Georgie. Amazing. Georgie, hi. Amazing. Yes, confidence. It was so comprehensive, knowledge, feeling in my anatomy of my body, embodiment, felt the learning. Okay, yes, we're all on the same page here. So that was our first flagship anatomy course. It was based on Mama's book, Yoga Body, and we went through the chapters of that book together. I have three quotes for you of what students have said to us over the years about that course. We have received literally hundreds of positive emails and feedback and ratings about that course. One thing Dana says, my life has changed since the first experiential anatomy, both my practice and my teaching. My classes are full. The depth of my instruction is well received, and my students are thrilled with the strength and the knowledge that they've gained. Mimi is saying in the chat, it helped me to meet students wherever they are in their body and their practice. Oh my God. We could just end the session now. Like
Yeah,
that's
yeah. I'm gonna go pet Penelope.
yeah. Like Mary is trying to take this in. Mary has trouble taking in the positivity about her work. Life-changing. Experiential anatomy was absolutely worth the financial investment. The depth, clarity, and practical tools I received far exceeded what I experienced in other yoga trainings. And oh, there's just two. Wait, one, two. No, there's just two. I took out the third one. So we are introducing today Experiential Anatomy Yoga Therapeutics. As we were writing this course, we were calling it, the working title was Experiential Anatomy 2.0. It is a brand new course. It is different than Experiential Anatomy 1.0. If you took that course, you will absolutely get something out of this course. It is, of course, still about the human body, but it's organized completely differently. And give us one sentence, Mary, about what yoga therapeutics means. What is the focus of this course in terms of yoga therapeutics?
Understanding therapeutic progression so that you can meet your students where they are and offer them usable, applicable information in the moment that they can take home off the mat as well.
Yeah. And for me, it was like when we were writing the course, we've been working on it for 2 years. I kept saying, I want us to structure it around the things that my students actually come and say to me. And then I freeze and don't know what to offer them. Like, I have forward head, I have low back pain, like the things that therapeutically have gone wrong in their bodies. And then when I can't just push them into the regular 100 greatest hits asana poses because they're no longer appropriate for their bodies or for aging bodies.
Yeah, and
That,
what we do in this course, sorry to interrupt, Lizzie, but what I think we do so well in this course, and of course, it organized so many of our discussions over the last 2 years, is that you certainly get an explanation of forward head, but we contextualize forward head in the entire kinetic chain of the body. So we're not taking a mechanistic view and offering cues. We're actually working with you to see the arcs of movement and the patterns of compensation that have developed and either are, you know, trying to counter the forward head, obviously, but also are contributing to its perpetuation. So we're really, it's a code breaking course.
Yes, I love that reframe. So Catherine is asking if you haven't done the first course, can you go straight into this new one? Yes, absolutely. In fact, the first experiential anatomy is no longer open for enrollment. We're focusing all of our energy on this course, and we're going to start on Thursday. I'll tell you more at the end of the webinar. We're going to move to Mary in just 2 minutes. This course is starts on Thursday, and we're going to move through it as what's called a cohort, which means a group of students who are going to take the course in real time over the next couple of months. And so that we love teaching like that because then the Zooms have a lot of energy and the discussion board has a lot of energy, and we get to feel that sense of community. So the tagline for this course is reclaim your natural body alignment and joy in asana, which is really important to Mom and Mary, that we think of the body as being smarter than us. My pelvis is smarter than me. It already knows. So we look first to what the natural body alignment is telling us and let that bubble up into joy, creating joy for our practice and for when we teach. So your body is smarter than you. It's about attuning to the natural movement and integrating functional anatomy into practice and teaching. And it's only about functional anatomy. We don't want to teach you anything esoteric or anything that's going to win you a trivia contest. We're interested in the anatomy that is going to directly relate to your body, first and foremost, to your own home practice, and then to your students. And there's a question in the chat. If you are not a teacher, we have tons of people taking the course. We've already enrolled a bunch of students in the course. A lot of them aren't teachers. So we're going to frame it when we say it's framed towards serious students and teachers, just means we're going to have a higher level discussion. But even if you don't teach yoga, you're going to absolutely enjoy this course and get a lot out of it. Who are the teachers of this new course, Experiential Anatomy Yoga Therapeutics? It's the same team you know from the first Experiential Anatomy. So it's Mama, who's Judith Hansen Lasater. She has a PhD in East-West psychology. She's a physical therapist. She has written 11 books on yoga and related topics. She studied directly with BKS Iyengar. She's one of the co-founders of Yoga Journal magazine, and she's been teaching yoga since 1971, which is amazing. It's amazing what you can build when you wake up every morning with the single pointed focus that this woman has. It's really inspiring. And she's 78 years old and she's still coming up with new ideas. And she's excited to learn. She's excited to teach. So she is really our kind of guiding light in the course. Mary Richards will be teaching more than 50% of the classes, just over more than 50% of the classes. Mary Richards is a yoga therapist who has written a fantastic book called Teach People Not Poses, which is published by Shambhala, a division of Random House, like a real grown-up publisher. And she's been teaching yoga since 2002. We
Actually,
also,
Lizzie, I've been teaching since 2000. I met your mom in 2002.
okay, we've been fact
Just,
checked.
just FYI. I mean, that 2 years.
She's been teaching since 2000, and we very lovingly refer to Mary as a yoga anatomy nerd. As you will see today, her love of this material is absolutely infectious, which I think is very lucky because I find, frankly, that anatomy has the tendency to be quite dry and potentially boring, but that is not the case when you study with Mama and Mary. I'm Lizzie Lasater. I like to joke that I've been practicing yoga since the womb. because of mama. Um, I call myself a yoga content creator. I produce online courses. I have an online mentorship now for yoga teachers to find their voice. It's called Start Before You're Ready. I lead retreats. I design a line of spirit jewelry. I'm a busy working mom of 5-year-old twin boys, and I've been teaching since 2005. So this is the team that is here with you, plus Sarah Jane, who's here with us today. She helps us with the discussion board and with the inbox at lasater.yoga. That's who you'll be spending time with. So my last question for you before we switch to the knees class is, do I have your permission to share more in depth about this new course with you at the end of today's session? Give a yes in the chat if you'd like to hear more about the Experiential Anatomy Yoga Therapeutics class. Yes, yes, yes. Ah, Liza's here. Hi, 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 hi. So many familiar names. Hi, hi, hi. Okay, good. So just planting a seed. Enrollment closes on Thursday, and we really mean that. We're going to close the doors. The first class is on Thursday. We want to start together to build a momentum of learning together. Recording in PDF. If you want a free copy of this downloadable PDF with today's sequence and Mary's signature stick figures, then you need to make sure you're subscribed to our newsletter. Sarah Jane will put the link into the chat right now to make sure that you have it. You can also go to lasater.yoga/pages/newsletter and make sure you're signed up for the Experiential Anatomy newsletter. We also have a monthly new moon newsletter where you get a free full-length yoga class in your inbox every month. So that's a good place to be subscribed. Now, it is time to turn it over to the great Mary Richards for You're as Old as Your Knees.
Yes. Yes. Uh, Thank you, Lizzie. So I have ancient knees. They kind of go with my medieval torturer personality, actually. This is the way that I rationalize them. Um, some of you know this about me. I recognize names in the chat, and I've talked about it a bit in my book. I've had 5 rounds of knee surgery. I'm a avid hiker and backpacker, and I had a hiking accident. Oh my gosh, almost 20 years ago. And I have my own cloned cartilage grafted into my left knee. I have a couple of pins in my left knee yet. I still hike. I still sit in lotus, pain free. I sit in supported virasana. And the way that I've been able to retain so much of my knee function and manage pain, because trust me, I do have flares. I have a problem with overdoing things. And so I'm really very conscientious about my knees. And one of the big things that I have done for myself is I remember back almost 20 years ago when I had the initial knee injury and I was in my first run of physical therapy, the doc and the assistants and the like would say, "Oh, which one's your bad knee?" And I'm like, "Oh, you mean the one with the thigh to ankle leg brace on it?" And it really landed with me in a way that I didn't enjoy, hearing my healing knee being called a bad knee. So I stopped saying that. It was a simple word choice. So that's the first thing I want to offer you today. If you know that you have a need that requires more of your attention than you might prefer to share with it, instead of referring to it as your bad knee or your hurt knee, I would like you to refer to it with a term of endearment. I call my knee my special knee, or I actually also call my left knee Horus, which, if you're familiar with Egyptian mythology, Horus, the owl, was sort of like the timekeeper. Okay. And so I call my left knee Horus because it reminds me of my mortality in a way that I actually really appreciate. I
Okay,
saw.
Mary, from the chat, Kristen is saying that just gave me goosebumps. I also love that reframe of not saying bad knee. And Kristen says, my knees are not bad, they're working hard AF. And another, Kim says, I'm currently in an ankle to thigh brace. I love calling it my healing knee.
Yes, yes, and see the words matter because if we keep referring to injured parts of ourselves as bad parts, that gets in the way of healing. And if there's one thing I've learned after literal years of surgical interventions and physical therapy and all of that, and all of the clinical kinesiology courses I've taken, the gross anatomy and the cadaver lab, et cetera, it's that there's absolutely no part of us that's bad.
Mm,
Every single part of us is such a miracle. And the other thing that I like to think about my knee as this a warrior. It's Arjuna, it's the archer. You know,
yeah.
the knee is translating all of the information that my body receives from the earth through my feet and taking it up into my pelvis. And then all of the energy that's in my body above is moving down through my sacroiliac joints and hips, through my knees into my feet back in the earth. And so it's so important that we think of our knees as these gateways to our divine selves. Because one of the first things we do when we pray or meditate, if we think about it, is we bend the knee,
Yeah.
right? So today, what we're going to do is we're going to focus on some foundational movements that I hope reveal for you how your knees actually move today.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you ready, Lizzie?
I am ready. There's so many beautiful things in the chat. Someone, Jill, who works with Parkinson's patients, hi Jill, is that we call our legs that don't move with Parkinson's students, the princess legs. I love
Yes.
that. I love
Yes,
that.
because sometimes don't we need to be carried a bit on a litter, a royal litter, right?
Yeah.
And that is the carriers for that are empathy
Yeah.
and kindness. And this is something that I think knees have a unique ability to help us refine is our relationship between kindness and effort.
And they're a part of my body, which I definitely say I have no thoughts, feelings, or opinions about unless there's pain sensation. Like I just ignore them. I don't appreciate them. I don't even dislike them. I'm like, and then I'm out for a walk and I feel something in my knee and I'm like, ugh.
Yeah, and isn't that the case? But one of the things that motivates my teaching so strongly is my belief that we really want to get to know every bit of ourselves.
Hmm.
I don't want to
Okay.
leave any part of myself out of my somatosensory awareness.
Okay, give a yes in the chat. Be honest. If you have the habit of leaving some part of yourself out of your somatic sensory awareness, give a one sentence definition of somatic sensory awareness, Mary.
Somatosensory awareness is how do you feel in your body right now?
Yeah.
Because see, if you're
Yeah.
paying attention to how your body feels, you're not in the past and you're not in the present. Doesn't mean, I mean, not in the future, you're in the present. It doesn't mean that your feelings aren't informed by your past experience, nor does it mean your feelings aren't informed by any concerns about the future. But the present moment is this wonderful nexus point where all of this can come together. And the reality is, our body feelings never lie. Okay. And I hear this and I'm not pulling out a soapbox. Okay. This is just my experience. I hear this frequently. Um, we are constantly trying to control our bodies and make things do what we think they should do. And so we're not moving at the pace of our body. We're moving at the pace of our mind. And I hear this on the mat because folks will say to me, it feels like. And I'm like, oh, okay, let's just take a moment. When we say something feels like, we've actually removed ourselves from the feeling because feelings don't feel like anything but themselves. So when
Mm,
we say things and we'll say, I feel like my knee is going to buckle, it would be more accurate to tune in and say, feel my knee is buckling. My
mm,
knee feels unstable. But we will say feels like, and this is where we'll have fear and anxiety. I feel like my knee is unreliable.
mm, mm.
I can't trust my knee. I can't trust my SI joint. That's what's behind that when we differentiate ourselves with that modifier like.
Mm.
And so for me, somatosensory training, which is what asana is, okay, it's training us to develop our attention and concentration skills to stay grounded in what's happening right here, right now, without
Yeah.
analogies and metaphors.
Okay, I'm gonna pin myself, spotlight me so I'm big when I move to the mat. There was a request in the chat from Deborah for a foot feet focused class. We're doing an entire session in experiential anatomy yoga therapeutics on the feet, led by Mary.
Yeah,
So it's coming your way. We've already
it
written the
is.
outline.
It is. But today we're going to focus on let's get into the roots of the knee function. I don't know if you heard that, Lizzie. I just did a little clap. Okay, so we're going to start standing, and you do ideally need to stand for this. If you need balance support, please have a chair nearby or place your hands on a tabletop or on the wall, whatever you need to make sure you're not going to fall over. And let's pick a leg. It doesn't matter which. You're standing in Tadasana. So in an ideal world, that means that your second toes and or the space between your second and third toes is oriented directly forward. And you want at least a fist width, if not two fist widths between the necks of your big toes, because that's going to put you on your bones.
Yeah,
Okay, so here we are in this position, in Tadasana position. I want you to pick a knee. Don't think about it too much. I just want you to bend one knee about 25% and then straighten. That's it. Just do that a few times, just bending the knee about 20 degrees. You can alternate from side to side.
like
Just a
this.
little bit. Yep. And just notice your body follows. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a
Yep.
rotation. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Let's say thank you for your pelvis, right? Now try to resist some of that upper body movement and focus just on bending the knee about 20 degrees and notice how it feels. Okay. And this is pretty straightforward, yes?
Yes.
Now, for someone with meniscus injury, kneecap tracking issues, they may feel like they're driving over gravel in the knee. You may hear or feel clicking. Okay. Right there, we know then you've got a functional imbalance in your thigh muscles. Okay. All right. Now turn your feet out like a duck comfortably for you. Just, you're not trying to be in second position in ballet. Uh, and same thing, bend your knee, let it go out towards your little toe side of the foot. So we've added external rotation of the hip. The knee naturally goes in which direction?
Over the toes.
Yep, it goes out with the hip. The external rotation follows. So now bring your feet in like a pigeon. You're pigeon toed. So your heels are out wider than your toes. And I want you to do the same thing. In
I
which
feel my
way?
glutes here, Mary.
I know. Hello. Thank you. Glutes and
Sneaky
knees are
glutes.
so integrally related.
Oh, really?
Oh gosh, yes. If you've got knee problems, you got to train your glutes until the cows come home. Okay, I know I always say that, Lizzie.
I know you're starting to lose your credibility because if you haven't studied with Mary Richards, give a yes in the chat if you know this about Mary. Every problem, all roads lead back to train your glutes more.
I, okay.
Yeah,
It'll be
yeah,
part of my eulogy. Okay.
yeah. I think I told Mary she should name her yoga business, like her LLC or something, should be called Glutes to the Max.
Yes, totally. Okay, so now come back to center with your toes oriented in neutral. So the space between your second and third toes ideally is pointed directly forward. And you're going to go through the same directions of movement without changing your foot position. So one knee at a time, feet are pointed directly forward. We're in neutral. You can feel it's pretty congruent, feels pretty stable, yeah?
Yeah,
Okay, so now keep your feet in this position, but now track your knee as you bend it toward the little toe side of the foot.
weird.
Weird, yes. But we ask people to do this all the time in Warrior Two, don't we?
True.
Yes. Okay. Now come back to center and track your knee toward the big toe side of the foot. Yeah, that's right. I said it.
Mm.
It feels weird. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, but here's the thing. What we're doing is very safe. We're working in the 20 degrees or so of flexion and extension where the screw home mechanism, where the bones twist together to tighten up the joint, okay, to keep you standing. That's what we're working on. So if you have difficulty with your range of motion, this
Mm,
is your homework.
mm.
Okay, do I want you to practice Warrior Two, especially with your knee tracking toward the big toe side of the foot? No, I do not, my friends. I do not want that. But this is still a functional range of motion that we need to be aware of. And
Yeah,
if you're, Hmm?
what I keep thinking of is like dancing. You can't dance without this motion.
Yes, and what I like to do because I am all pinned up in my knee. I will, you can see I have my great yoga wall behind me. I have different attachments to that wall. I will attach a resistance band to an anchor and I will put a resistance band below my knee,
Oh,
right below
amazing.
my knee. And I do this with a resistance band.
In all directions. So you're going forward and then to the side, the little toe side, and then the big toe side.
Yes, and I do it with both. I tend to work more with my left because that's my reconstructed side, but I
Hmm.
also work my right because I have a titanium right hip.
You know what else is feeling good with this movement? I feel like I'm getting a massage in my lower back.
Yeah, right? Yeah, because everything's connected. And so this also helps if you have SI joint dysfunction. Um, it's going to improve moving energy through your SI joints. Okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is something folks don't understand. They think all this rotation, for instance, comes from the hip, but if you don't have this rotational component, this reliable screw home mechanism and this 20 degrees of what's called terminal extension, we go through all of this in detail, this terminology in the course. It's important that we understand the terminology, okay? Because it's descriptive. Screw home, screw the knee home, right? We need to understand this because what if someone has hip osteoarthritis? Where are they going to find rotation? They're going to find it in their knee.
They're going to
What if?
overwork in their knees.
Exactly, exactly. And what
Right.
if they don't have this rotational component in their knee? That's going to go into their hip or their ankle. Okay, so it's all connected.
Yeah.
We can't decouple the knee from either the hip or the ankle. Okay?
I also felt a bunch of nice mobility in my ankles. Things in
Yeah.
my ankles kind of popped and opened up.
Yeah, and we're afraid in particular, especially those of us that are knee sensitive, about tracking the knees in toward the midline, and believe me, it can be a recipe for injury for sure. But there, but the knee actually can move that way, and we need to train it to do so well.
Okay, there's a question about which I'm sure not going to go into the resistance band, but it was not, you weren't saying around the thigh. You were saying theoretically the resistance band you would put here.
Yes, Lizzie, feel the bony knob right under your knee on the top of your shin bone. On the
Here, yeah, on the
Yes,
front. Yeah.
you feel that bony knob?
Hmm.
Okay, that's called the tibial tuberosity, and that's where the patellar tendons attach. You put the resistance band around that bony landmark.
Right. Okay, there's so many questions in the chat. I'm going to just put something on, but I don't have it attached to anything right now. I was also thinking how I could do this. I think I would have to attach it to a door or something. Let me stop.
Yeah,
Let
but
me
you
stop.
only do one leg at a time.
Okay.
Okay. So you only
So
step
this
one
would be
leg.
attached to something, and then I
Yes.
would do the same movements, and my hand is not holding it. And then it would just be adding resistance, correct?
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. Good.
Yep. Okay.
Okay. What's next,
All
Mary?
right. So now we're going to come down onto the mat. Okay. And this is where you may want a blanket or two. You may need to pad your mat. You may need to make a headrest for yourself. And I'd like you, if you have one available, you might need a bolster nearby. Lizzie, I don't think you're going to need one personally, but let's have one nearby for demo purposes.
Okay. And I usually would I'm a super padding person. It's just that my mat from Hugger Mugger is really thick. So I know I don't need it, but don't think that I'm skipping that because I am trying to be advanced. I would definitely put down, if you're on a hard surface, put down a couple blankets.
Yes. So we're going to rest. We're going to be supine. Now, let's say you've got a low back situation that you're like, I can't lay on my back. You can bend a knee, but you're working leg. So you'll have to do this one side at a time. I'd like you to do it both legs at the same time, but if you experience low back pain, again, bend one knee and work only one leg. Okay. So here you are, you're in Shavasana position, and I want you to flex your feet like you're standing on them. So you're in a supine Tadasana. And now I want you to engage every thigh muscle you can possibly imagine. Push out through your heels. Pull your legs up into your body. Wrap your quadriceps into the muscles, the hamstring, into the bones rather, the hamstrings, into the backs of the thigh bones. And you feel work up into your glutes. Yes?
Yes.
And we stay here for 3 to 5 rounds of breath. Then you let go. And then I want you to turn your feet out like a
Mhm.
duck and do the same thing, turning on as many muscles as you can find.
In the
No,
lower body or also the upper body? Am I pressing in the arms?
no, let your upper body and your arms just be heavy. Other parts of you are going to come to the party, but I want your attention directed to the thighs, the fronts, backs, inner, outer thighs. And we stay for 3 to 5 rounds of breath, then we relax. And then I want you to turn your feet in a bit so that you're on the big toe sides of the heels. And I want you to do the same thing, pushing out through your heels. Okay. And do you feel how this changes the activation patterns, Lizzie?
Yeah, I have a totally different sensation in my hip.
Yeah. Perfect. Yes. And this is what we need. Okay,
Mm.
because what we're doing is we're safely working through the different foot positions that occur every time we take a step. And we're doing this gravity neutral with our feet free.
Mm.
Okay, so then we come back to center, the toes pointed up toward the ceiling, you push out through the heels and you engage. This is something called quad setting. It's an isometric exercise, and we need this to improve movement shaping and endurance. And you may think, oh, well, not really doing much. Something doesn't have to be big and sweaty to be profoundly effective and nourishing for your body and your body processing and planning nervous system
Mm.
structures. And that's what we're doing. So when
So
you're ready, mhm.
do we keep going through the three different options? Yeah.
Yep, I was just going to say, when you're ready, turn the feet out, and I want you to work through. Okay?
You know what I could totally imagine is starting a class like this, have
Yeah.
people lie down, and then it's almost contrasted between Supta Tadasana, activating everything, and then relax.
Yeah.
And
And you'll
just,
notice too, that's where you'll find out as well where you've got your folks who are disorganized in their glutes, quads, and hamstrings because they'll hyperextend into the knees and their heels will pick up off the mat. You got to keep your
Mhm.
heels pressing down into the mat as you push out. Otherwise, you're skipping the muscle work and just dropping into your hyperflexible knee joint. And your knee joint's already unstable, so you got to put the leash on it.
I also like the contrast of the effort and the release.
Yes. Yes.
That feels
'Cause,
really good in my nervous system.
yeah, we're facilitating your body's body positioning sensory systems.
Yeah.
Going to help with your balance. And you think, well, I'm just lying down doing this. But this is just money in the movement bank.
Yeah, and I think it feels hard. Like I'm not gonna.
So let's complete the set that you're engaged with. And I consider a set neutral feet, neutral feet, duck feet, pigeon feet. Okay, that's
Yeah.
one. That's one, my friends. And then you want to do like, 3 to 5 of these. I wouldn't do more than 10,
Yeah.
right? Because you're trying to teach your body. You're not trying to overwhelm it, overload it.
Mm.
Okay, so now here you are. You're still supine. Bend your knees if you need to. Maybe you want to roll around a little bit on the back body. And then we're going to come back when you're ready to the Shavasana position, though certainly more accurate for me to say supine Tadasana because
Yeah.
we know I'm a Shavasana thief. So now it's like you're standing on your feet again, okay, and your toes are pointed directly toward the ceiling. And now I want you to clench your butt cheeks. Okay. You're trying to catch a penny between the center of your buttocks, but I also want you to try and pull your bottom buttocks, where your buttocks meet the backs of your thighs, up.
Weird.
I know, but you got to work into your glute min.
Weird.
But see, most people, when they do the butt clenching, all right, they just clench right through the center of the glutes, but the glutes are huge. And so you need to look for where your glutes meet the backs of your thighs.
Mm.
And for me, the way that I think of this is I think about pulling on the tightest pair of pants I've ever owned. Or maybe I've got a wedgie. Okay.
Do people even know that word anymore,
I
Mary?
don't know. I don't know. It dawned on me. I was like, maybe people don't know what that is, but it's like you're trying to pull your underwear up into your butt crack. Like,
Mm.
I know this isn't an elegant instructional request, but you feel it, yeah?
So you're saying like really this place where buttock, like the bottom of your bikini line,
Yeah, what
um,
I like to call the ham butt.
the hamstring buttocks, that I'm trying to engage that as well. That's
Yes.
totally different than what I was doing before you said that.
Yes. And we do this again with the different foot positions. And now, sometimes what I'll do is I'll have folks plug their feet. I'll put blocks against the wall and I'll have people push into the blocks,
Hmm. So
or pull their feet off of the blocks so that they can find that ham butt lift.
It's really hard to find when the toes are turned in for
I
me.
know. So what does that tell you? Right? It tells you that this isn't a stable position for the hip. And if it's
Mhm.
not a stable position for the hip, how is it going to be a stable position for the knee?
Mm.
Okay? See all the sleuthing that arises. It's really interesting, isn't it? And do you,
So
sorry, one more thing, Lizzie. When you clench your bum, what's happening in your belly space?
it's hollow, but it's also pulling down and back.
Boom, boom, boom. Because the gluteus maximus is part of your core stabilization system.
Shocking.
Okay, glutes and core go together. So if you want to improve stability for your knees, you have to build your glutes and you have to work on your core stabilization.
Okay, so just to review, the first round we did, your instruction was to press the heels down. No, the first one was about pulling the thighs up,
Yes,
and the second one is now pulling the glutes up.
yes.
Okay.
And
Okay.
clenching them together in
Okay.
these different foot positions. And again, this is so that we start to pay attention. Where do we have gaps? Where do we have sensory gaps? Like for the longest time, in particular, after my right hip was replaced, I couldn't feel it.
Hmm.
And so it was so much, I had to like remap my hip into my body, and I've had to do that with my knee as well. I still have, I don't have much skin sensation on my reconstructed knee, right?
Hmm.
A lot of surgical interventions. Um, and it took me a while to get to feeling into my different knee compartments again. So I just want us to pay attention to these things because where we have these release valves or these sort of dead zones, these cellular dead zones, believe me, it's affecting how you shape your movement.
Yes.
Okay.
Amazing.
Okay. So now I'd like you to one at a time bend your knees and put your feet on the mat. Okay. Arms long by the sides of the body. Now we're going to come into a bridge pose. So you may need to get rid of your head support. Okay, because I don't want you to drive your chin down into the center of your throat. Your arms are long by the sides of your body. The arms are very heavy. The shoulders are very heavy. The feet are placed comfortably close to the buttocks, but not so close that you feel like your kneecaps are going to pop out of your skin. Your feet are aligned. Let's take them a little wider than your sitting bones, just a little wider. And I want you to have neutral feet again. So those second toes or the space between the second and third toes pointing directly forward. And now don't think about your pelvis, please. Inhale, just lift your pelvis as a unit. Just lift your pelvis as a unit. Okay. So here you are, you're in the bridge pose. If you need to put a block under your bum or slide your bolster under your bum, that's fine, but please don't rest on it. You're still trying to get up off of it. Now, Lizzie, I want you to tuck and notice how that feels. And then I
Mm.
want you to tilt. Notice how that feels. And then I want you to find your middle. I want you to be like Goldilocks. All right. And notice what happens. Let's work through this again. Tucking, tilting, neutral. What happens to your knees? Are they wobbling around?
Yes.
Do not let
Absolutely.
them. Do
They're
not
going.
let them. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. So this is where some folks also need to place a block between their knees.
Okay, let's try that.
Okay. I also like to have folks put a resistance band around their ankles and work on
Okay.
pulling out through their heels. Because I like to add layers of difficulty because that's the sort of person I am.
So I'm using a thick strap. If you want the exact link to these resistance bands that I've used today, you can go to lizzie.yoga/props. Sarah Jane can put that in the chat. Thank you, Sarah Jane, for making that page for us all. So that's all, everything that we recommend is on there. There's direct links to these if you want to know, because people always ask, like, what are you using?
So you've got I like to have the resistance band around the ankles like Lizzie has. I like to have a block between the thighs. Now, you got to pull out through your heels. You got to
Yeah.
pull out strongly through your heels, yet while you're squeezing the block, and then you got to lift your hips. Where do you notice the work?
I feel it actually in my low back a little bit.
Flip the block to a wider orientation
Okay.
and separate your feet a little farther apart.
Oh, that's better.
Yes. You just sometimes we get within the margins of the sacroiliac and we get a bony block. So you usually need space. Okay. And I want you to just play with the pelvic position and notice how you feel. But you got to pull out on that strap and you got to squeeze that block because, see, this is going to work your hip rotators. You work your hip rotators, it's going to help your knees. It's going to protect your knees when you're turning, when you're pivoting.
Mm.
Play pickleball. This is your friend. Okay. And so we play with this pelvic position, right? And we stay in each position and we hold because, again, we're sleuthing. What are our somatosensory signals right now? And then what adjectives am I applying? How am I assessing my experience?
Hmm.
And does my assessment match the work?
Mm.
Does that make sense?
Hmm.
Okay.
What a good set of questions.
So let's just do one more. And again, try to keep your hips up while you're tucking and tilting. And I know this can be a little weird because I'm not a tuck and lift your pelvis sort of gal, okay? Because
Yeah.
we're in lumbar extension. But you can feel in this position when we change the position of the pelvis how it plays through the hips and the knees.
This feels also really good to just do it on the floor,
Yeah.
squeezing the block and pulling out on the strap.
Yeah, well, then you do that, and that really trains your pubococcygeus and your obturator internus. And these are muscles that are in your pelvic floor, helps with your any pelvic floor concerns, improves your core integration, and also helps hold the heads of the thigh bones centered in your hip sockets, which helps your knees.
Yeah, I feel very integrated right now in my pelvis
Yeah, yeah.
after these movements.
Yeah. And you can feel how your glutes were working in the bridge pose. Yeah, because
Yes.
that's their dharma. If you don't feel your glutes working in bridge pose, we need to have an intervention.
Because your glutes are dead.
Yeah, you've got dead butt syndrome, and that's either coming from your glutes themselves or it's coming from your brain, from your prefrontal cortex, and these ideas about how glutes should relax when they're extending the hip and the lumbar, which is like their dharma. So, yeah, we got to talk about it because your glutes are gonna help your knees. They de-age you. Strong glutes de-age you.
Whoa. Okay, I
Okay.
like that.
All
Also,
right.
Rebecca was just gonna say, said, I was just gonna say, oh la la, my glutes.
Yeah. Okay.
Such hard work. I feel the glutes, I feel upper hamstrings and hips. I feel it in the thighs, at the arch of the back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. So important. Okay. So now we're going to do two more things, and these are nice things.
Mm. Okay.
All right. We're going to do, now we want to test our IT bands. Okay. I'm not going to go too much into iliotibial bands except to tell you that they grow out of your gluteus maximus, track down your outer thigh through your outer knee, and attach to the top of your lower leg. Now, some of us have been told to foam roll these IT bands. Please stop. That does not help, does not help. We will talk about this in the course. Instead, I see that, Lizzie. I see that timer. Instead, I want to show you how to safely stretch your IT bands in a way that's going to help your knees, your hips, and your low back. So for this, you're going to come onto your mat, or you can do it in bed on your side body. And this is where you may need one to two blankets or your bolster, because it's possible we're going to have to bring the earth to you.
Okay. So I
Okay,
have a timer, which is looking mirrored for me. Is it right? Is it in the right direction for you, Mary?
the right direction for me.
Okay, good. So that's just the timer of the for Mary's teaching, but then we have some more good stuff planned for you today. This is just a
I
helpful.
appreciate it, Lizzie, because you can tell I get really excited.
I know, and I get excited. I want to ask you 1,000 questions about like what the IT band does and where it is and why mine aches sometimes after I hike.
Oh my gosh. Oh, yes. Okay, we're going to talk about this in experiential anatomy. Okay, so the bolster's nearby. Lizzie, you may or may not need it. It just needs to be accessible to you. I want you to roll onto the side body with your top leg is the leg that you tend to notice tightness in your knees, hip first. That's your top leg. So you're resting comfortably on your side body, and I want you to take your uh, turn your breastbone down slightly toward the floor, okay? And now take your top leg and slide it into the space behind you and rest your knee on the floor behind you. Knees stay bent. Keep your knee bent. Okay. Oh, there we see that tight IT band. So now, Lizzie, that kind of leaves you hanging out to dry. So this is where you bring the earth up to you, my friends. Do not try to force that knee, that inner calf onto the mat, please. Too much shear force through the knee joint itself. So you bring the earth up to you.
Mhm.
And now you rest there. You stay there for up to 10, 12 rounds of breath. It's about a minute for most people. And you feel the stretch, Lizzie, through your outer hip and all.
No, the bolster was too much. Let me
Mm.
try. I need to like, yeah, that's better. That's better.
Yeah. I do this on both sides. I do have a hip replacement on my right. I had anterior approach. So I have to be careful with extension and external rotation, which means I'm very judicious about how I practice back bends. But this pose I have no trouble with, again, because I had an anterior approach. If you had someone come in from the back, you have got to bring the earth up to you. Okay.
Right. Yeah, this feels amazing. It's just a broad stretch across the whole
Yes.
side hip.
Yes. Yes. And you can play with your foot position. You can turn your toes down toward the floor, up toward the ceiling, and just see how that feels. But try to do it without lifting your leg. It's hard.
Hard.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
weird. I mean, that's what I love about studying with you, Mary, is every single time I take a class with you, it's like there's at least one movement that I've never even heard of before.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of folks find out really quickly that, oh, wow, I feel this in my SI joint. Guess what? Got to train your glutes. Oh, I feel this in my inner knee. Guess what? You got to support your knee and you got to build your vastus medialis. You got to train your quads. You got to train your trackers, your quad trackers. Okay.
Okay, I'm going to switch sides
Change
now.
sides. Yep. Change sides when you're ready. So if you're feeling this on your inner knee, you got a patellar tracking situation. Odds are odds are. Could also be osteoarthritis, could be meniscus injury, it could be medial collateral ligament problems, it could be related to your ACL. There's a whole, I could go through, obviously, I could go through a whole inventory of things that could be going on. But the reality is if you're feeling this in your SI joint, in your inner knee, etc., we got to do some strength training.
Mm. I think that, and I know I'm preaching to the choir with you, Mary, but For me, what's been revolutionary in the way you approach yoga is that there's a huge strength component, and you're teaching strengthening moves that aren't necessarily classical asana, but
Yeah.
they absolutely uplift my asana practice. And I wouldn't want to go back now. And now, as I'm entering perimenopause, it's just like I'm so enjoying building strength. That's what my body really needs right now. And like I spent 2 decades solely focused on flexibility.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I've always taught this way, honestly. Maybe it's because I was an NCAA athlete, so I've been in the weight room since I was a kid, like since high school.
Mm.
And I know how much being strong helped me, especially because I'm strong, flexible, and determined. But I just think we're moving people too fast, too aggressively into asana, and I want us to practice until we're dead.
Yes.
I want to die
I
in the
like
yoga pose, and that comes from stabilization, like stable form over range always.
and like I have seen heard several podcasts and books recently that are all about kind of lifespan, not just like
Yeah.
the length of your life, but having the quality of life as we
Yes.
age. And I just always want to jump up and down and say like yoga, 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 because functional movement is healthy aging.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And when you're ready, we're going to do one last thing. You're going to roll onto your back body and come into constructive rest position. So that means your feet will be, comfortably wide for you and your thighs rest against one another like a pyramid. And I want you to just
Mhm.
notice the residue. Some folks don't like this in their inner knees. You may need to put a blanket between your knees or a block. Sometimes I'll use a tennis ball
I love this.
and just now notice the residue. The body breathing itself, noticing where you feel connected. What's the quality of the connection between your awareness and your sensations? Notice the air on your exposed skin. Notice the space around you. And when you're ready, make your way over to the side most comfortable for you and rest. Breathe into the skin of the back, noticing the space behind you. And when you're ready, ease yourself up slowly to a comfortable seated position and breathe into the new orientation of the body. And let's bring our hands to peripheral mudra at the heart center. Rub them together, get them nice and warm. And when your hands are sufficiently warmed to your taste, place your cupped hands over your knees and just allow that warmth and love to flow right into your knees and offer them gratitude for all that they do for you.
Mm. Oh, that was fabulous, Mary. I got to turn off this timer. Thank you. I want to just take a few steps around and feel, wow, it feels buttery in there.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, all of all of our joints slide and glide. Like everything. At all where our organs slide and glide, our nerves slide and glide. And everything that we did today was about improving slide and glide.
Tell us in the chat how you feel in your knees right now. Stand up, take a few steps. That was yummy, says LA Star. Well, that's making it into my class tomorrow. Wonderful, Joe. I loved this. I found it really therapeutic on a tight hip, said
Yeah.
Liza. Yeah, absolutely. Hi, Liza. Amazing, amazing, spacious, feels great. Love this, love this. Okay, so this gave you an experiential taste of what it's like to study with Mary Richards. I'm going to the privilege and the joy that it is to study with Mary Richards. I'm going to share my screen with you now. And the rest of our time, I'm going to spend introducing our course, which starts on Thursday. Mary, please feel free to chime in as we go through. And I want to say to the participants, you're also welcome to leave the Zoom room if you know you're not interested in studying further with us. No hard feelings. Please make sure you're signed up to the newsletter and we will send you the recording and the PDF notes. They'll go out tomorrow. So, Experiential Anatomy, Yoga Therapeutics, it starts on Thursday, which is October 2nd. And we're teaching anatomy not for trivia, but for transformation. Really interested in practical tools, deep understanding, and this real-time mentorship. We've been producing online courses for 10 years, and we have found that the best formula is when a group of students move through the course together in real time. It creates a different energy. All of the Zooms in this course will be live, but everything is recorded. I know we have students joining us from Australia who will never come live because of the time zones. That is not a problem. You can watch everything on the learning platform, but the real-time component means you'll be getting an email from me every week with key takeaways and, with the homeworks, and it'll just help it feel more bubbly, I want to say. How would you describe it, Mary?
Engaged.
Yeah, yeah. Exactly. So maybe you've been teaching for years. Give a yes in the chat if you're a teacher or just practicing for years, but you feel like something's missing, that you're longing for clarity, confidence, and really practical tools. Oh, I'm seeing so many yeses in the chat. Yes, 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 yes. So the real problem that we see from our students is that you feel how aging or injuries change your practice. Give a one, two, three, four, or five. What is your number one on this list? Number two, you get nervous when a student mentions pain or injury. It's totally me. Number three, you lack confidence in your anatomy knowledge. Yep. Number four, you've taken trainings before, but you still feel unsure. Or number five, you crave practical tools and not abstract theory. Okay, there's over 99 things in the chat. Let me pull it up. What are people saying? Um, scroll down. Okay, a big mix, lots of fives, lots of ones and threes. Yeah, you crave practical tools. That's like we're obsessed with practicality. So what if that changed? And this course, Experiential Anatomy, Yoga Therapeutics, is about practical embodied insight. It begins with your own body, just as we did today. The sessions will start with a little bit of lecture, some concepts. We do have some anatomical visualization tools that we use to show you inside the body. And then we will always move to the mat like we did today. So you first understand it in your body. And there's something about yogis. We're often kinesthetic learners. We learn through the body. So once you feel it in your body, you don't need to memorize a cue because it's settled in there. And that's really about integration. I felt today's work, I felt so integrated. And I would be able, as someone said in the chat, to teach that tomorrow, to teach some of these movements tomorrow, because I really felt them in my own body. So,
Lizzie,
what are you going to learn?
Lizzie, could I jump in for a moment?
Yeah,
Uh, this is the thing, like one of the reasons why we focus on experiential teaching and practicality is because, I've been teaching for a long time. Lizzie's been teaching for a long time. Judith's been teaching for longer than both of us. And I'm often asked, what cue should I use? But see, what I love about practice is that's where our teaching language comes from. It comes from our felt sense of our bodies and our experience in asana. So in this course, it's called Experiential Anatomy because we're heavy on the experience. Believe me, you're going to get a lot of anatomy and kinesiology, especially from Nerd Girl over here.
yeah,
But the language lives in you. We're
yes,
offering you the information to so that you can like set yourself free.
yeah. And not to call out the patriarchy, but one of mom's favorite expressions, many of you know, is trust yourself first. And it is radical, especially in a lineage, in a yoga lineage that has patriarchal roots, that the teachers would empower you to feel it in your body, to trust your own body, to trust your own wisdom, and to teach from there. I have not seen that in very many other places. I have mostly encountered yoga teacher trainings where they say, I'm telling you the right way. Shut up if it doesn't feel right. Do it my way. Give a yes in the chat if you've encountered any of that type of energy in a yoga context. Stacy says yes. Joe says yes. Baby says yes. Yeah. 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 Okay. So, what are we going to learn in the course? There are three big chapters. The first chapter is called the standing yogi, and it's all about posture, bad posture, forward head, humpback, and low back pain. So, we'll go through each of those in a big, juicy session. And then the next chapter is the seated yogi, surviving the chair. Mama and Mary are very anti-chair, as you will come to learn. And we all sit, myself included, we sit too much. So we're going to talk about surviving the chair, sitting, back bends, rotation, twist without shouting. If you're old enough to get that reference, give a yes in the chat. And breathing, move to breathe, which is where we connect anatomy and breath, exploring how movement supports respiratory capacity and emotional regulation, which was a huge aha moment for me as we were writing this course, is the connection between breath and emotion, which we will explore more deeply. In the last chapter, we're going to talk about the walking yogi, which is about fluid movement, glutes to the max, which is Mary's favorite topic. We'll talk about shoulders, knees, and there will be an entire final session about stability and mobility for the ankles and the feet, which I'm very much looking forward to. Um, so the way we've structured this course is that there are two tracks. You can either join in foundations, which we've conceived of as being for serious students, or you can join the professional track, which we've conceived of as being for teachers. You're more than welcome if you don't teach to join the professional. You'll see why it has extra goodies. But this is kind of how we've divided it up in our design of the course. So in foundations, you're going to have 12 live Zoom sessions this fall. They're 2.5 hours long. This is class is 90 minutes, and you see how it flew by. So we'll do 2.5 hours. It'll be taught by either Mama or Mary, and you'll have me as a host. The foundations track is 30 hours of Yoga Alliance continuing credit. So that's what most of us need per year to keep up our Yoga Alliance. You have access to a course discussion board to ask questions, which Mary answers, and to connect with students. You will have a certificate of completion, and you have 3 spacious years to access all the replays and the course resources on the learning platform. David is asking, does this course qualify for continuing education units with IAYT? Mary, I'll let you answer that question.
We don't know yet. We've got a couple of students who are applying for continuing education units with IAYT. Both Judith and I are uh, recognized continuing education providers. I imagine so. I've actually emailed them, but I haven't heard back from them yet.
Yeah. And this is the first time we're running this course,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
we'll
I can't
see. But
imagine it wouldn't be,
I'm
personally.
sure they will say yes. I think you guys have enough bona fides behind your names. Mary is, as you remember, a certified yoga therapist with a master's degree. Mom is mom. No, mom is a physical therapist, etc. Okay, so this track is an investment of $995. Or we've made a payment plan so you can do 3 monthly payments of $350. Those happen automatically. So on the day you enroll, if you enroll today, then on October 30th and November 30th, you'll make your final payments. We wanted this to be really accessible. And if you think about what this price point is compared to other things you have recently spent $1,000 on, maybe a hotel, some airplane tickets, we are certain that the transformation of this course is going to be long lasting and is going to affect your longevity and the pleasure that you have in your body, not to mention if you teach. So Donna's asking about the times of the classes. I'm going to get to that. The professional track includes everything in foundations. Plus, the professional students will be invited to 8 additional live Zoom sessions. Those are 2 hours with Mama or Mary and me. And those sessions, there is no pre-written lecture content. Those are completely open. They won't be like this, like a webinar. You'll have your video on if you want, and you can raise your hand and we can call on you, spotlight you, and you can ask your question about your body and work directly with Mom or Mary. So those are going to be really valuable. And the rest of us learn so much by watching what Mom and Mary have to say with people. Or you can raise your hand and ask a question about a student, but those are going to be really Q&A driven sessions that are about connecting and getting your questions answered. This track, the professional track, is 50 hours of Yoga Alliance continuing education. There's going to be this massive downloadable advanced therapeutics guide. Downloadable means it's yours to keep forever. And there's a final exam, which Mary is writing, optional final exam. If you pass that, you will receive a certification from us that we're developing. It's brand new, an experiential anatomy certification. If you pass Mary's exam, I promise you the first draft of the exam will be too hard. And what we will do is Mary will write it and she will send it to me and I will take it and I will fail having written the course with them and taken the course. And then I will say, Mary, this is too hard. And she will make it more manageable. So you'll have 6 months. Also, this is amazing. Okay, you have 6 months to access Emmy, who is your experiential anatomy AI tutor, and you have lifetime access. We did this also in our first enrollment of the original experiential anatomy. You have lifetime access. When you enroll in this professional track, it will live on your Lasater.yoga dashboard for as long as Lasater.yoga exists. So that is huge. And the investment is going to be $1,995 or 6 payments in the payment plan of $350. Yes, Liza, the certification is exactly like R&R. That's how we're thinking of it. We're developing this new anatomy certification as a parallel to our Relax and Renew certification. So I want to talk to you in our remaining 7 minutes about the AI anatomy tutor that we've created and say hello to Emmy. She has memorized all of Judith Hanson Lasseter's books and courses. She's endlessly curious about anatomy, yoga, therapeutics, and the art of teaching. Emmy speaks Sanskrit fluently. In fact, she speaks every language fluently, which is huge. She delights in helping students to find clarity in their yoga studies, warm, witty, and endlessly patient. Emmy is your devoted study companion. So we have literally created this chatbot who is trained on the millions of words we transcripted. Thank you, Sarah Jane. We have transcripted all of the courses that we've ever done at Lasater.yoga and loaded that into the back end of this chatbot. So you can ask questions. I'm going to show you a demo right now. It looks like this. This is only in the professional track. And I'm going to switch my screen share now and show you what it looks like when you work directly with her. So this is what the interface looks like. You can type your question and you can speak into it. If you haven't had experience with ChatGPT, this is what it feels like to work with it. So I'll say, all right, I was always taught in Tadasana to keep my kneecaps directly facing forward. But it seems like Mary and Judith are saying something different about the kneecaps. I'm confused. Please explain. And now she's going to query all of the data that she has. And she's going to come up with an explanation for you, reading documents, that walks you through the answer to the question. And we are absolutely gobsmacked with the quality. Of course, we're in the early years of AI. There may be a hallucination here or there. But for me, what was the absolute game-changing moment, and also for Mama, because I created this and then I had to sell it to the team of Mary and Mama, was if I say this, okay, now tell it to me in German and make it half as long. It can work with you in whatever your native language is, because we have so many non-native English speakers. And that, I think, is a huge accessibility point of people being able to engage with our material and our teaching in the language that they want to speak. Yeah, Mary is nodding in the background.
Yeah, and if I could just add, like, I'm kind of the curmudgeon in the group. Like, I'm Gen X, and I believe the Terminator and the Matrix are documentaries. So I was like the hardest sell on this, wouldn't you say, Lizzie?
Yeah, yeah,
And I'm very judgmental.
yeah,
And,
yeah,
and yeah, it's a
yeah,
problems, right? But it's uh, asana, anatomy, kinesiology, physiology require specialized vocabulary, and we are blessed to be in a global yoga community. So the ability to communicate in your preferred language, I think, is really huge. I and this is a big point for me. I'm in the course discussion boards once a week. You can't get rid of me, okay?
yeah.
So, but Emmy's there when you don't want to, when it's
Well,
3 o'clock in the
and
morning and you are speaking, um, you know, uh, I don't know, let's say Polish or whatever,
yeah.
Chinese, and you have a question, a burning question about the screw home mechanism.
Yeah. And what it really is it's not to replace the teachers. You'll have a lot of access to the teachers, but for us, it's about reinforcing because that shocked me when we transcripted and exported. I just exported everything that's ever been in the Sangha discussion board at Lasater.yoga. Give a guess in the chat. How many words do you think this document is? How many words has Mary Richards written is answers to student questions? And the problem is those questions are not that searchable. They're not that able. A gazillion, says Jeanette. A gazillion. Yeah, exactly. Oh, Cindy is close. 150,000 words. Catherine is asking, will this be offered at a later date? No. We are not planning. We have no current plans to run it again. We're doing it now. If you join the foundations track, you have it for 3 years. If you join the professional track, you have it for lifetime. So if you're tempted, mom is 78, so we're not making a lot of big promises about her work schedule moving forward. We don't know how she's going to step back as a natural process of aging. Let me show you three more slides that I want to show you. Enrollment closes October 2nd. If you point your phone at this QR code, it will take you directly to the enrollment page. Um, Sarah Jane will also drop that link in the chat now for the Experiential Anatomy enrollment page. You can also just go to lasater.yoga. It's featured right at the top. You can click through. If you have any questions, please email Sarah Jane. She is wonderfully competent, wonderfully patient, wonderfully responsive. She's in charge of the lasater.yoga@gmail.com inbox. If you're tempted to join the course, but you have one question, like you're going to miss all the Tuesday sessions, will it be okay? The answer is yes. Everything will be recorded. And we think that you will get a lot out of the course, even if you're not able to join all of the sessions live. Yeah. Liz says, I have not been a big AI supporter, but I trust the input from you. Yeah, I know. Well, what I've told this AI bot, how I trained her, is I said, do not rely on yoga information from the internet. I want you to rely first and foremost on the information in your training data from Mom's 11 books. We're still negotiating to getting Mary's book in there. All the discussion board and all our courses. And I've told her to, if she doesn't know the answer, to say, I don't know the answer. So it's a learning process. You'll have 6 months to play with that if you join us in the professional track. And we're just so excited. The course starts on Thursday. Mama and I are going to do the kickoff session on Thursday. She's very excited to be with you all. And how long do you have to take the test for the professional certification? I mean, infinite time. You have lifetime access. We're targeting December to release the exam, and then you can take it whenever you want, whenever you've moved your way through the material. Um, okay, Mary, final words before we say goodbye. We're so grateful for this time we get to spend with you.
I'm super stoked about the course. I really love how we've organized it around kind of common, activities of daily living tied with asana and, common conditions, things that we wrestle with if we have the good fortune to age. And I know I'm kind of bursting at the seams with uh, nerdy enthusiasm.
Yeah.
And I look forward to getting to know folks.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. Karen is asking for the start times in the schedule. Let me just share my screen with you right now, and I will show you this. Everything you need to know is right here. Let me do a screen share. So if you go to lassiter.yoga and then you scroll down and you click here, this will take you to the Experiential Anatomy page. There's a 16-second little video where we explain what yoga therapeutics is. I would love for you to go watch it. It's very goosebumps for me. And then this takes you through everything. This is when enrollment closes in 2 days when we start together. And then if you scroll down, you can read through the curriculum, more information. Then this will tell you the dates of the foundation sessions. And I made this visual planner for you. So they all start at 10 a.m. Pacific time. Be careful because the time changes for Europe and America on a different time, but we will warn you as we get to that. So it's always 10 a.m. Pacific. And then these are the dates of the foundations. And if you scroll down, you get to the professional. The professionals have 8 extra Zooms that you can attend. So those are your dates, moving all the way through to December 10th is the last session. So you'll get to spend the whole fall with us. And then enrollment is really easy. You just scroll down all the way to the bottom and you can choose either foundations at the single payment or foundations at the payment plan. Same with professional and professional. Mary, we love spending time with you.
Oh, thank you. It's so mutual. I thank you all so much for your time and attention today. It's truly, like I say this and I say it from my heart. It's truly my privilege and pleasure to share.
Yeah. Inhaling the breath, open the palms away from the body. With an exhalation, bring them together in front of your heart. Namaste.
Namaste.
May we live like the lotus at home in the muddy water. It's muddy out there. So let's gather together with like-minded, curious yogis this fall and learn and feel and embody and grow together. Thank you, Mary. Lots of love. Goodbye, everyone. Beautiful Sangha today. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being here. We'll send you the replay tomorrow if you're on the newsletter.